I was supposed to die that night. My wife and my best friend thought they covered every detail, every lie, every alibi, every fake tear. But they made one mistake. I lived. And now, I'm about to expose everything. I wasn't supposed to hear it. The voicemail. It came in while I was at work, sandwiched between a spam call and a reminder from the dentist. I was busy, didn't even see the notification until lunch. But something in me, I don't know, something told me to listen. So I put in my earbuds and hit play. At first, I just heard my wife's voice. Claire. Soft, distracted. Like she didn't know the call had gone through. Then I heard laughter. A man's voice. Not mine. God. If he ever finds out, Claire whispered. Then silence. Click. End of message. I stared at my phone for what felt like an hour. My hands were shaking. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it was old. Maybe it wasn't what I thought. Maybe. No. I knew that laugh. It was Evan. My best friend. I went into the bathroom and threw up. Claire and I had been married 6 years. We weren't perfect. No couple is. But I thought we were solid. We had a little place just outside the city, 2 dogs, no kids yet. We were still building. Still dreaming. And Evan? He was like a brother to me. He helped me move. Helped me fix our roof. Helped me propose to Claire. Now I couldn't stop imagining his hands on her skin. Her mouth whispering secrets in his ear. I didn't confront her. Not right away. I played it cool. Came home. Kissed her on the cheek. Asked about her day. She smiled like nothing was wrong. And maybe to her, nothing was. That night, while she showered, I went through her phone. I know. It's not something I'm proud of. But I had to know. Messages to Evan were clean. Almost too clean. But I noticed a weird pattern. Every Tuesday, like clockwork, she deleted her recent calls and texts. Only Tuesdays. I started watching her. She'd go out for errands and come back with nothing but a latte. Her underwear drawer started changing. New lace, colors she never wore for me. So I did the one thing I never thought I'd do. I followed her. I left work early on a Tuesday and parked down the street. She came out an hour later, dressed nice. Lipstick. Heels. No grocery bags in sight. She didn't go to the store. She didn't go to the gym. She went to Evan's condo. I waited. 3 hours. She left smiling. Fixing her hair. I went home and sat on the couch like a ghost. When she walked in, I said nothing. I didn't sleep. Didn't eat. The next day, I transferred half our savings into a private account. I printed everything. The voicemail, screenshots, location history. Then I waited. Because I needed her to say it. To admit it. To choose. What happened next? I'll tell you. But just know this. The voicemail wasn't even the worst part. It's what I found on Evan's phone later. That changed everything. I couldn't sleep for days. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Claire's smile walking out of Evan's condo. That relaxed, satisfied look she hadn't worn around me in months. I knew I couldn't keep pretending forever. But I needed control. I needed proof. Real, undeniable proof. Not just a voicemail. Not suspicions or GPS tracking. I needed them to say it. So I did something a little dark. I bought a burner phone. Set up a fake number. Then I texted Claire anonymously. I know about you and Evan. Tell him I'll be watching. I didn't expect much. Maybe panic. Denial. But what I got was confession. That night, she was jittery. She barely touched her food. Then she said, "Babe, can I ask you something? Do you think someone's watching us? Like, have you noticed anything weird?" I played dumb. I just blinked at her. She paced. "It's probably nothing. Just, I got this creepy message. Said they knew about me and Evan." She paused. "It's not true, okay? Whatever it said. It's not true." My heart thudded. She lied. To my face. That was the moment I realized she was never going to come clean. Not unless I forced her hand. So the next day, I sent the voicemail to her phone. No caption. Just the audio. 5 minutes later, she called me. She was crying. "Please, can we talk? It's not what you think. I swear, it just happened once." Once. They always say once. Like that makes it better. I told her to come home. She did. She was shaking, mascara smeared, barely able to look at me. "It was a mistake," she whispered. "We were drinking. It was after your surgery. You were so out of it. And I felt so alone. And Evan." I held up my hand. I didn't want excuses. I wanted the truth. How long? I asked. She paused. 6 months. 6 months. Of lies. Of sneaking around. Of laughing behind my back. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just asked her to leave. And she did. But I wasn't done. Because now I needed to hear it from him. I waited 3 days before showing up at Evan's condo. He opened the door like nothing was wrong. Hey man, didn't know you were coming by. I punched him. Hard. In the mouth. He stumbled back, bleeding, shocked. I'd never hit anyone before. But I had waited long enough. You slept with my wife, I said. His face went pale. I didn't mean to. It just. 6 months, Evan. He sat down. Didn't deny it. But then he said something weird. She told me you were cheating on her. I froze. What? She said you'd been distant. That you were always texting some coworker named Jess. She said she thought you were having an affair, and that's why she. He trailed off. You didn't. No, I didn't. And I don't even know a Jess. He looked panicked. Dude, I swear, I thought she was just getting even. I didn't think. That's when it hit me. Claire manipulated him. She didn't just cheat. She engineered this. She planted the idea that I was unfaithful, that she was the victim. And Evan, my best friend, fell for it. Slept with her thinking it was justified. But what I found next was worse than anything I'd imagined. Because Evan had screenshots. And in those messages, Claire wasn't just trashing me. She was planning something. Something I still don't understand. And it might have cost me everything. Evan sat on the couch, holding an ice pack to his jaw, while I scrolled through the screenshots on his phone. Each message hit harder than the last. Claire. He's so gullible, it's honestly pathetic. Once we get what we need from him, I'm done pretending. Just play along, Evan. Trust me, he won't see it coming. What the hell? What exactly were you playing along with? I asked. Evan looked shaken. I thought she meant, like, keeping it secret. I didn't know she meant this. I swear. But the worst part wasn't what she said, it was what she sent. One message had a document attached. A scanned copy of a life insurance policy. With my name on it. And Claire listed as the sole beneficiary. Dude, what is this? I asked, voice low. Evan looked just as confused as I felt. She mentioned it one night. Said you'd set it up yourself, after your surgery, and didn't remember because of the meds. I never set up a life insurance policy. We both sat in silence. That's when it all started clicking into place. Claire had access to all my personal info, bank accounts, passwords, medical files. During my recovery, I could barely move. She was the one managing everything, taking care of me. And all that time, she was forging documents, planning something. Why would she? I couldn't finish the sentence. Evan swallowed hard. I think she was planning to disappear. With the money. A chill ran down my spine. Because now I remembered something she said weeks ago. Something I brushed off. She joked, at least I thought it was a joke, about how accidents can happen when you're on strong painkillers. How no one would question it if I accidentally overdosed. And now here I was, looking at a policy that would have given her $750,000 if I suddenly died. I stood up. I need to go, I said. Where? Evan asked. To the police. But part of me knew it wasn't that simple. Claire hadn't technically done anything yet. It was all circumstantial, digital. And if I went to the cops too soon, she'd run. Disappear before they could catch her. I needed a plan. I needed proof. Real, irrefutable evidence. So I decided to play the same game she did. I'd pretend I didn't know. I'd get her to talk. And I'd record everything. Because if Claire really was willing to kill me for money, then I had to act before she tried. That night, I climbed into bed beside Claire, pretending everything was normal. She slid in close, draped her arm across my chest like she always did. I didn't sleep. Not a single second. I stared at the ceiling, my heart pounding in my ears. The woman next to me, whispering sweet nothings just hours earlier, might be plotting to cash out my life. I needed time. I needed her to slip up. So the next morning, I pretended I was heading back to work, first time since the surgery. Claire kissed me goodbye and smiled like nothing was wrong. I smiled back. Then I drove straight to Evan's place. He didn't ask questions, he just let me in. Together, we started digging. The first thing we did was check the origin of the life insurance policy. Turns out, it was applied for online, with digital signatures. Evan knew a guy who worked in IT security. We sent him the metadata from the PDF file Claire had sent Evan. It took him an hour to confirm it. The IP address used to submit the application? Our home network. Claire had sent it in while I was still in bed, recovering from surgery. So she forged the signature, submitted the application, and made herself the sole beneficiary, all while bringing me soup and fluffing my pillows. It was chilling. I bought a discreet voice recorder off Amazon that same night. One of those pin-shaped ones. I left it in my shirt pocket every time we talked. Casual conversations, dinner chats, pillow talk. I captured everything. But Claire was careful. Too careful. Weeks went by, and nothing slipped. Until the night she came home drunk. It was a Saturday. She'd gone out with the girls, said she needed some stress relief. Came stumbling in around 2 a.m., smelling like gin and smoke. She slurred something about how hard she worked to make sure everything would go smoothly. Then, the moment I'd been waiting for. She said, and I quote, "I should have just crushed up the pills when I had the chance. You were too out of it to notice. Would have made things so much easier." I kept my eyes shut. Didn't react. She giggled and whispered, "Kidding, baby. You trust me, right?" She fell asleep instantly. I laid there, heart pounding, with the recorder still tucked in my shirt pocket, running. The next day, I made copies of the audio. One on a flash drive. One in the cloud. I took everything to a lawyer friend Evan trusted. When he heard the recording, he looked sick. "Don't go home," he said. "Not even to grab clothes. She's dangerous." I nodded, but I didn't listen, because I wasn't done yet. If Claire was capable of this, then I needed to know how far she'd already gone, and if anyone else had helped her. Because the more I uncovered, the more I realized Claire wasn't acting alone. I started looking at Claire differently after that night. Not just as someone who'd betrayed me, but someone playing a very calculated long game. And the thing about long games? They usually require allies. So I did what I should have done a long time ago. I went through her phone. Not while she was home, of course. I waited until she left for hot yoga, which I now suspected was a front for anything but yoga. She always left it behind charging in the bedroom. No passcode. She trusted I never snooped. She wasn't wrong, until now. I wasn't prepared for what I'd find. First, there was a text thread with someone saved as A. It was clean, too clean. Only a few generic messages about groceries and work. But something about it felt off. So I exported her entire iMessage archive to my laptop. And bingo, there were deleted threads. One, in particular, stood out. A conversation with a number not saved in her contacts. I recovered it with Evan's help. His tech guy pulled the messages like magic. The conversation went back months. And it wasn't just about me. It was about plans, money, meetups, and something that chilled me to the core. He's getting weaker every day. Soon it won't look suspicious. Another message. We should start looking at houses. Once the payout hits, we're out of here. The person she was texting? My brother. Yeah, my own brother. I didn't believe it either. At first I thought maybe it was someone with the same name, same number format, same area code. But no. When I called the number from a burner phone, he picked up. Hello. His voice, clear as day, and he sounded nervous. I hung up without saying a word. Suddenly, everything clicked. My brother, Matt, had been weirdly distant during my recovery. Claire had told me he was too busy to come by. Now I knew why. I wanted to lose it. Drive straight to his place. Smash his face in. But I didn't. Because now, I wasn't just dealing with betrayal. I was dealing with a conspiracy. And if Claire and Matt thought I was too weak, too clueless, or too broken to stop them, they were about to find out just how wrong they were. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw their faces, Claire's fake smile, Matt's smug voice on the phone, and that one message burned in my skull. He's getting weaker every day. Soon it won't look suspicious. They weren't just planning to leave me. They were planning to make it look natural when I disappeared. Or died. I needed a plan. Not just for revenge, but for proof. So I called Evan. Again. He picked up on the second ring. You okay? Not even close, I said. I need your guy. The tech one. Evan didn't ask questions. He never did. That's why I trusted him. By the next morning, his guy, Lucas, had cloned Claire's phone to a dummy app on mine. I could now see everything in real time. Texts, calls, photos, GPS. It was like watching a slow-motion car crash, except I was still sitting in the driver's seat, and they didn't know I was holding the wheel. Later that day, while Claire was at work, I got a location ping. She wasn't at the hospital. She was at a hotel 2 towns over. I drove there, parked across the street, and waited. 15 minutes later, she came out. Not alone. Matt was with her. They laughed. She touched his arm. He kissed her forehead. I didn't take a picture. I took a video. I followed them. They grabbed coffee, groceries, like a couple running errands, like they were married. That night, I pretended everything was normal, asked how her shift went. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "Exhausting." I almost laughed. She was too comfortable, too sure of herself. And that's when I realized something. Claire and Matt weren't just trying to get rid of me. They were waiting for something. A payout, a transfer, a trigger, maybe insurance, maybe my will. So I checked both. And what I found, that's when I knew I had to act fast. Because 3 weeks ago, while I was still on meds, Claire had forged my signature on a life insurance policy, one that named her and Matt as beneficiaries. And if something happened to me soon, they'd walk away with $500,000. I was done playing dumb. Let them think I'm weak. I'm about to give them the performance of a lifetime. I spent the next 2 days rehearsing. Not for a play, not for a lie, for my disappearance. I kept my routine identical, took my meds, acted dazed, even left the house keys on the hook, like always. But behind the scenes, I was orchestrating every second. I opened a new bank account under a variation of my middle name, transferred small sums of cash daily, set up motion-triggered cameras around the house, even the bedroom, especially the bedroom. Claire never noticed. Or maybe she thought I was too far gone to care. Good. Because the more invisible I became to her, the more real the mask felt. That night, I left my phone on the kitchen counter and drove 40 miles out of town. At a 24-hour diner, I logged into the cloned app. Claire had just texted Matt. He's off his meds again. If he crashes the car or something, no one would question it. That was it. They were waiting for an accident, and I was going to give them one. The next day, I parked my car near a ravine we used to hike by. I tossed my phone onto the passenger seat. Then I used Evan's drone, he had one, to film myself from behind, walking into the woods. I made sure it looked like I was limping, like I didn't plan to come back. Then I vanished. For 48 hours, I stayed at an Airbnb booked under a fake name. When I finally turned the TV on, my blood went cold. There was a news report. Local man missing. Car found abandoned. Wife devastated. Claire stood next to Matt on camera, wiping tears from her eyes. Tears. She cried for the camera, and probably laughed once it was off. They thought I was gone. They thought the money was already theirs. But they were wrong. Because what Claire didn't know was this. While she was giving her grieving wife interview, a package was on its way to every major news station in the state. Inside, a USB drive. And the title of the first video file? My wife wants me dead. The video hit the internet faster than I expected. Within hours, it had over 200,000 views. People were commenting things like, "This is insane. Is this real? That woman is a sociopath. Protect this man at all costs." I didn't speak in the video, just screen recordings of their messages, security cam clips of them sneaking into the house late at night, and one damning clip of Claire standing over me in bed whispering, "Soon, you'll be out of our way." That clip alone was enough to go viral. By sunset, I was trending on Twitter. But more importantly, the police reopened my case, not as a missing person, but as a possible attempted murder. Matt deleted his social media. Claire went silent. My brother Evan, who I'd finally told everything to, kept me updated from a safe distance. He texted, "Dude, the cops just showed up at your house." Perfect. I stayed put. The Airbnb was under a random name, rented in cash. No digital footprints. No receipts. And the best part? I wasn't alone anymore. Evan had joined me, brought food, clothes, even his second laptop to track things more easily. We watched a live stream of a true crime YouTuber dissecting the whole thing. This guy left a digital breadcrumb trail like a pro. And these two idiots? They couldn't cover their tracks if they tried. The moment they showed Claire's crocodile tears on camera again, I almost laughed. But what came next made my stomach twist. Matt was arrested that night, not for attempted murder, but for an unrelated charge, fraud. Apparently, he'd been embezzling money from the clinic for months. Claire's clinic, which meant she was next. And just like that, I had one final move to make. I texted Claire from a burner phone with one sentence. I'm alive, and I know everything. 10 minutes later, she called the number. I didn't answer. She called again, and again. Eventually, she texted, "Where are you? Please." I didn't mean for it to go that far. That far? So she was guilty. I sent one last text. Meet me where it all began. Come alone. And then I shut the burner off. Because this wasn't about getting answers anymore. It was about finishing what they started. She came. Right on time. Claire pulled into the empty lot where we had our first date. A cliffside lookout over the city, quiet, secluded, romantic back then, sinister now. I watched from the shadows as she stepped out of her car, arms wrapped around herself, eyes scanning nervously. No makeup. No perfect posture. No mask. Just Claire. The real Claire. I stepped out slowly, making sure she saw me before I got too close. I wanted her to feel it. That I wasn't a ghost. That she hadn't won. Her breath hitched. You're alive, she whispered. Disappointed. She shook her head, tears forming instantly. No. I thought, Matt said it would be painless. That it wouldn't really hurt you. I didn't know. Stop lying. I didn't. I have the recordings. The texts. The bank transfers. The house camera footage. You drugged me, Claire. She broke. Dropped to her knees like she thought it might buy her sympathy. Matt manipulated me. He said we could start fresh. He said you'd be fine. He said you were holding me back. That you were dead weight. And you believed him. I stared down at her, and for a moment, I felt nothing. No rage. No sadness. Just a hollow space where love used to live. I'm not pressing charges, I said. Her head snapped up. You're not. No. I don't need to. The fraud charges? They're already connecting you to the missing clinic funds. You'll go down for that. And when they start asking why you needed that money, the rest will fall into place. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. And I'll be watching. Every trial. Every headline. Every day you spend locked up. I turned to leave. But just before I got back in the car, I looked over my shoulder one last time. You almost got away with it, I said. But you forgot one thing. She blinked. What? I never stop watching the people I love. And with that, I drove away, leaving her behind in the cold silence she created. Not for revenge, but for closure. Because sometimes, the best justice is letting someone rot in the wreckage they built for you.